here with Kim Marie. Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about virtual internships and tips and tricks and doing well, Hussy. Presentations is just so important. Be on top of that. You definitely want to dress like however you would normally dress if you were to go. And if you're not sure, a dress shirt, like a business dress shirt, is always the way to go. Now, if you're going to be like going court type of thing, virtually, I would suit up. I would look very professional, the most professional I could possibly look. But if it's just going to be everyday interactions, I personally always wore a dress shirt. Even if my superiors were in like tank top or whatever it was, I wanted to always give that image to my boss, like, I am serious. I know this is virtual, but I respect the organization. I am serious about this internship, and I'm going to do everything in my power to look the part. Just another thing is having a quiet space or a space that you can actually do your work and whatnot. Just some practical things is when dealing with like your superiors in terms of getting work and assignments and things that you're going to be doing virtually, just keep in mind that in person, normally you would be asking them for follow-up and clarity and whatnot. So it's okay to still ask that. You don't want to be working on a project for like 5 weeks at home and then it's not done and then you're still unsure. And then now they're like, okay, this could have been done a long time ago. So really, first thing first, when like I get an assignment, I will ask, hey, how long do you think this is supposed to take me? And ask for some type of direction so you can know how long something is supposed to take you. And of course, since you are a student and you're learning, they're not expecting you to be like a new attorney or something, but it kind of gives you a guideline on if you're like in the weeds too much or you're going down the wrong direction or you're overthinking. Like I recently went for an interview to be a clerk and they were just like, a lot of times like your gut instinct of what something is, it is what it is. So having that knowledge of the time frame and whatnot of how long it's supposed to take you can be helpful with, getting the work done, because sometimes the longer you have something, the longer it takes. And then another thing is like really keeping on top and on track of your deadline. Because you're in your home, you don't have like the cues that would normally be around you to follow up or remind of certain things going on. So you really have to get that planner and really be on top of things and like treat it as the time that you decide to dedicate and spend to it. Treat it as if you're like actually in office and try to stick to things in that manner. So for like me, on the days that I speak to my supervisor that I state that I'll be available to work on my internships, I try to get up that morning, get dressed, at least from the waist up. Sometimes we'll have like something to go to, like a hearing or something like that, where I'll have to be like in person and see. But a lot of times I'll just have assignments or like memos and things that I'm working on. But I try to be like presentable in case they ever like call me like impromptu, like, hey, can you look this up? Oh, can we FaceTime real quick? Or can we Zoom call? Can we Microsoft Teams? Like, oh, I can include you on this meeting, this virtual meeting. So I always try to be like kind of ready to go, as well as it kind of gives me that sense of like getting up and I'm actually about to do something, and that helps with my productivity during the day. Because it's easier in an internship to get things done when you're there because you're just in the environment of people doing everything, and I guess that psychological pressure of everybody watching you. At least I have it. So for me, I find like getting up, even putting a little bit of makeup on and looking the part in my house, even though I might not have a meeting with my supervisor, is like very helpful. Another thing is, since like virtual internships are like very new for a lot of companies and organizations, like taking it upon yourself to like create some type of structure. And you can work with your supervisor on this if they don't give it to you, because sometimes some supervisors will be like, I don't really know how to do this, like I want to give you this opportunity and I want you to learn, but like I don't really know how to like structure it to make it meaningful. So one way like I had structure with my summer internship was we have like a weekly check-in, and sometimes your supervisor might be able to block out that time perfectly every week for you. Or you can make it upon yourself to do that kind of check-in with them, like, hey, this week, can we schedule it at this time? And really making those checks for yourself. And then I guess the first tidbit you should do, really like going back up at the beginning of the internship, kind of like talking to them honestly about like goals, asking them like what projects you think they could give you to meet those goals, and asking like how you could like give back, or if there's something that I could do to like make your job easier, because ultimately you want to be making their job easier so they like you essentially. So but having that really honest back and forth kind of conversation is helpful in just establishing boundaries in life, because those are important, but just establishing what both of you guys will get out of this hopefully mutually beneficial relationship, that in the future they might be your boss for real and offer you a job, or if it's just a situation that you get necessary or good enough projects to put on your resume for the next job. So you definitely want to be like clear about that, so you can think about that throughout the semester. Because for example, if you ask, I want to do something that takes like 5 months to do, and you ask them at the end of the internship, it's going to be like, okay, it might not be able to be accommodated unless there's an extension. So I guess having a time frame and like the structure, how long you're going to be there, what are the goals on both parties and in the beginning, and then like having those weekly check-ins are like very helpful, whether they make the structure for you, and sometimes they will, but if it's like a small organization or somebody who just has offered this internship with you and they're not sure how to maneuver it, talking to them about that is like very helpful. And I could do even a longer video on like goal setting, or what you could, types of things you could ask or whatever. And then my next tidbit is being like diligent. So in person, you ask like, do you need help with anything? Do you need X, Y, Z? You kind of have to do that now through like email. I'll always like kind of check in with my schedule, be like, hey, I'm free this amount of time for this week. I finished this project, or I'm waiting on XYZ. I'm waiting on a transcript so I can start this next project. Let's remind them, like, they're super busy too. Like, you're like an extra accommodation to them. So like you being like diligent, like it's just like more points and more wins for you, because like people's emails are literally like slammed, especially in the virtual world now, because every little office communication that would normally happen with you peeking over your cubicle now has to be an email, now has to be an instant message, a text. So there's just so much for people to keep on top of. So having like those check-ins and keeping that communication like on par is like imperative. And also like remember that you're an intern. You are an intern. You're learning. Like don't be like super hard on yourself, and just try to reach out and just like, I mean, there's some people that are just not good, and it just won't be a good experience, and like that's life. But generally, if you try to keep the communication open, they'll understand you're not an attorney yet, and even new attorneys struggle. They'll kind of know that you don't know everything. So you want to impress, but you don't want to waste time essentially. So keeping that line of communication is so important. Other tidbits, I'm not sure, but if you guys have tidbits for each other, leave them in the comments below. As usual, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any like video suggestions of like things that you would like to know more about my journey specifically, and what I'm doing, let me know. And if not, that's cool too, I guess. Bye.